So the other day, September 15th, we got a gameplay reveal of the new Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer and Warzone 2.0, and I wanted to give you guys my first impressions of this game, of the multiplayer, of the Warzone, because this is a game that I have been looking forward to. Not looking forward to out of excitement or because I have a lot of hope for the game. No, looking forward to it out of desperation because there isn't a lot of other multiplayer games that interest me right now. And I know I've talked about playing there's a ton of single player games I've wanted to play and I haven't played, and I want to play them, and I think I will dive into that and start grinding out some single player games, but I need a good multiplayer game. I need a good multiplayer game to fall back on. And right now there isn't a lot that interests me right now. So I'm hoping that I find the new Modern Warfare 2 fun. Now, I have been kind of worried about this game the last couple weeks and months because of how little was being shown and how close we are to the release date. This game comes out October 28th. And I feel like with past Call of Duties, we've seen multiplayer gameplay like sooner. But yesterday we got a big reveal of the Warzone and multiplayer gameplay for this new Modern Warfare 2. And I say new Modern Warfare 2 because obviously we have an old Modern Warfare 2 from 2009. Man, I hate the way shit is named now. I can't stand it. Modern Warfare 2 when we already have a Modern Warfare 2, Battlefield 1 when it's not the first Battlefield, Xbox 1 when it's not the first. I just hate how shit's being named now. I cannot fucking stand it. It's so goddamn annoying. But anyways, so after watching the Call of Duty Next reveal live stream, and that live stream was several hours, and I watched a lot of it, I have mixed feelings about this game. Now, this game looks a lot like Modern Warfare 2019, and I did play Modern Warfare 2019, not a ton. I mainly played Warzone. Again, not a ton, but when I did play the game, I played Warzone. And then, like, I think my second most played thing in the game was the 2v2 gunfight mode, and I didn't really touch anything else, like the rest of the multiplayer. And Modern Warfare 2019, it might just be my favorite Battle Royale. I'm not the biggest on Battle Royale games, but I think it's either Warzone or PUBG as my favorite Battle Royale. Because I can't really say I had more fun in Warzone. I think I had more fun in PUBG. But I'm thinking Warzone is the better mode. It has more of what I like in it. But as for the standard multiplayer in Modern Warfare 2019, like Team Deathmatch, yeah, I wasn't a big fan of all that. Mainly because of the maps. Right? You guys have heard me say in past videos how much maps matter to me. If the game doesn't have good maps, then there's a good chance I'm not going to enjoy the game a whole lot. And yeah, that was definitely the case with Modern Warfare 2019. I liked the gunplay. I thought the gunplay was solid, but those maps, man, it just killed it for me. It killed it. Main thing being the visually, I thought a lot of the maps were pretty boring, but the main thing that turned me off to this maps was all the different routes that you can take and all the different angles that you can be shot from. And Call of Duty is a game with a faster, somewhat fast time to kill, right? And the time to kill in this new Modern Warfare 2 looks really fast as well. And for the most part, I think games with a faster time to kill should have simpler maps, less routes, and less angles you can be shot from. Like we see with, games like Counter-Strike and Valorant. The maps are simpler. There's only so many different routes you can take. There's not a ton of objects and foliage on the map obstructing view. Because like the time to kill is so fast. That's what I like. In Call of Duty, it has a fast time to kill, but it also has all these different sight lines and a ton of different routes. And because of that, you're getting caught off guard a lot of time. You're dying to players that you didn't even see. When a player wins a one-on-one gunfight, I think it should be because they had the better aim and the faster response time. Not because they were holding some angle, looking through a little crack in a building, and then another player just walks around the corner, didn't see him there because there's so many different angles they have to check and they die. Like, I don't like that. I want the player who wins the gunfight to be the guy, the player who had the better aim, who had the faster aim. And that's what you get more of in games like Counter-Strike and Valorant, because the maps are simpler. There isn't a bunch of shit cluttering the map and obstructing sight lines. You have a better idea where players are going to be, the angles they're going to hold. So a lot of the time, well, more so in those games, in those tactical shooters, Counter-Strike and Valorant, you have players winning gunfights because they had the faster aim, the better aim. And you have less of, oh, I didn't see that player just holding that random angle over there looking through a crack. Like, you have less of that in Counter-Strike and Valorant than in a game like Modern Warfare 2019 with these maps where there's so many different sight lines and so many different routes players can take. Now, in games with a longer time to kill, I feel like you can get away with it a bit more having maps that are more cluttered, because you're not dying by the first couple shots, right? You have time to react, run away, or turn on the player and hit your shots, and you can work with it there because it's a longer time to kill. Now, in the new Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer footage that I saw the other day, the maps look similar in the sense that looks like there's a lot of angles you can get shot from and a lot of different routes you can take. And Modern Warfare, it has a new mechanic where you can hang on ledges. So now you're going to have people just peeking over ledges and, you know, getting sight lines that way. And again, like I already explained, I am not a fan of maps with a ton of sight lines, a ton of routes, a ton of clutter in games that have a fast time to kill. So I wasn't a huge fan of the maps we saw during the reveal. Obviously haven't played them yet. Maybe my opinion will change. But since this game is called Modern Warfare 2, I'm hoping we do get a bunch of Modern Warfare 2 maps in the game at launch. I know we saw maps like Quarry and Terminal and High Rise in the Warzone map, but I'm hoping those are actually maps in just the standard team deathmatch mode, because Modern Warfare 2 had a lot of solid maps, and I think the COD game with my favorite maps, and it's also my favorite COD game, is probably COD 4. And I know COD 4 had a lot of like 3-lane maps or like 1-lane map. Listen, just because something is 3 lanes, like that gets thrown around as like a negative thing. A 3-lane map, a 3-lane map. That's not, a 3-lane map is not inherently bad. It's really not at all. Like one ambush from COD 4. That is a 3-lane map. I love that map. I don't get why that's such a bad thing. Maybe if every single map is 3 lanes, I could see that being a bad thing because they all feel the same. But just because, I mean, as long as you have variety, 3-lane maps are not objectively bad. Like in Call of Duty games, I prefer maps with less routes, less sight lines, more symmetrical. I prefer that over like Modern Warfare 2019 maps. It's just so chaotic. So many routes, so many sight lines in a game with a very fast time to kill. Like, I'm not a fan of that at all. But that's enough about maps. Moving on to gunplay. Gunplay in Modern Warfare 2 looks like there's a lot of recoil in some of these guns. That looks pretty crazy, but that's because the people playing, they didn't have a ton of time to customize all their guns and put on all the best attachments and everything. It was like their first time playing the game. But I'm sure if you have the right attachments on your guns and stuff, you could obviously reduce recoil. And that's another thing, the gun customization in this game. The gunsmith seems pretty crazy. All the different attachments you can have on different guns. I heard them saying on stream you can basically turn like an assault rifle into like a submachine gun. I don't know, man. That something about that much customization, like, it's kind of overwhelming because all the attachments have different stats and they affect things like accuracy and damage and fire rate and range, things like that for your weapon. So, you know, it's not like just a cosmetic thing. It actually matters. It affects how your weapon actually performs. So yeah, that can be kind of overwhelming, and I'm not somebody who typically dislikes customization, but sometimes it's just too much for me, and I wish it was more simplistic. I mean, I like simplicity in my games. Now, as for the guns themselves, none of them really appeal to me a whole lot. Again, I obviously haven't played the game. Maybe that'll change, but I don't know. There's just there didn't seem to be any of those really satisfying guns to use, like, you know, the silenced ACR in the old Modern Warfare 2, or the silenced MP7 in MW3, the M16 or MP5 in COD 4. Like those guns were just like really satisfying to use, and I don't know. I didn't get that from any of the guns that I saw during this reveal, but hey, that could change once I play the game. Now, something else I want to address is how much content this game is going to have. You have your core multiplayer modes, like your TDM. You're going to have Warzone. You're going to have DMZ, which is like an extraction Tarkov type of mode. You have Special Ops, and you have Campaign. So, I mean, that's a lot of content in a Call of Duty game. One thing that wasn't announced during the live stream when they were talking about different modes was Gunfight, which was the 2v2 mode from Modern Warfare 2019, and I enjoyed that mode. I enjoyed that mode and those maps better than like the TDM maps and mode. I was a fan of Gunfight. It's more like the maps are more symmetrical. All the players, you start with the same weapons each round. I like that shit. That symmetrical, fair, even starts, simplistic type of stuff like that. And I mean, that's going to be a real bummer if that's not in Modern Warfare 2, because I did enjoy that at the time that I played it in Modern Warfare 2019. They also hinted at a ranked mode. That'll be really cool. A lot of Call of Duty games don't typically release with a ranked mode, and I'm hoping it's not just ranked for Warzone. That will be cool to have ranked Battle Royale in Call of Duty, because Modern Warfare 2019 Warzone doesn't have ranked. But I would also like a ranked, like, Team Deathmatch playlist with a couple objective game modes thrown in, maybe. You know, something like that. I hope it's not just ranked for Warzone, but I guess anything ranked in COD is better than nothing. But they didn't provide any further details on rank, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see what that turns out to be. And they also didn't talk about the progression system and what they're doing with that this time around, the prestiging. Well, at least in the time that I watched the live stream, they didn't mention anything about it. Now let's talk about Warzone 2.0. It looks very similar to Modern Warfare 2019, but they have done a few things different this time around. Before we get into that, I just wanted to say that, you know, just because it looks like, I mean, this whole game looks a lot like Modern Warfare 2019. And just because there isn't a ton of innovation to the visuals, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, if not making a ton of improvements to the visuals means that they can work on other things like different modes and more maps and all that type of stuff for the game, just more content, then I'm all for that. And, you know, graphics have come a long way. Like, games are not innovating on graphics like they used to. We've gotten to a point where graphics are really good, or at least good enough in some games. So there's not as much to be improved upon when it comes to graphics now compared to back in the day. So it makes sense nowadays if sequel games don't look that different from the previous game, just because, you know, graphics have already come a long way and there's not as much to innovate on as there was back in the day regarding visuals. So yeah, this new Modern Warfare 2 looking a lot like Modern Warfare 2019 visually, that's not necessarily a bad thing that it looks the same, but I do think it has, I don't know, there is something about the look I'm not a huge fan of, especially in Warzone. When I'm watching Warzone gameplay, I felt this way about 2019, and I was seeing it in 2020, or this new Modern Warfare 2 as well. It's something about it just looks so dull and washed out and boring, and I don't know what it is, but I think part of it's the map. I wish these maps were more visually appealing, these Battle Royale maps in games. I feel like all the Battle Royale launch maps for different games, Fortnite, PUBG, Apex, Modern Warzone, I feel like they're all just really boring, and they could be more visually appealing. Like, can we just do like crazy shit, like a pink grass, purple trees, a green sky, you know, just something that looks cool instead of this like same old boring shit that we're seeing, or have just different biomes on the map, snow, sand, jungle, a city, right? It wouldn't make sense to have all those, you know, have all those biomes in the same map. Like, it wouldn't be realistic, but fuck it, right? That'd be cool. Like, I don't care if it makes sense or not to have all those different biomes that close to each other. It's the Battle Royale map. It's the one map that we're going to be playing Warzone on over and over and over and over again. Make it more appealing. But I'm already bored of the map, and I haven't even played it yet. Now, some new changes with Modern Warfare 2 from what I saw during the live stream. First off, it doesn't look like you can buy a loadout at the buy stations anymore. It looks like you can purchase guns, and I think you can purchase attachments for those guns, but you can't just buy your loadout and get all your perks, all your weapons, and stuff like that. You just can't do that this time around, and I think I am going to be a fan of that. I know other people, big Warzone players, are like bummed out about that. Like, some of them I've seen, but like, I think that's just going to be, I think that'll be better. I think that'll give the game, I think you'll have there'll be more of an incentive to do things, because in Warzone, I remember just you get a little bit of cash, you buy your loadout, and you're good to go. And I like that because what I liked about that was that I wasn't getting screwed over by not getting good loot, right? Like, I wasn't running into teams that had like level 3 armor, level 3 helmet, and all the best weapons, while I was getting dog shit loot and dog shit armor. First off, Warzone 1, and looks like in Warzone 2.0, it didn't have tiered, well, Warzone 2019, it didn't have tiered armor. You just had 3 armor plates at launch. And then I think you could get up to 5 armor plates if you had a certain thing. But anyways, being able to buy your loadout in Modern Warfare 2019, I felt like that helped reduce the RNG aspect of the game, because you weren't getting as screwed over by dog shit loot as you do in other games, because in Warzone, you just dropped in, got a little bit of cash, and you bought your loadout, and you were pretty much good to go. And then all you really had to do was focus on positioning in the circle and buying kill streaks. And speaking of RNG, Modern Warfare 2019 did a lot of things right to help reduce RNG in a Battle Royale game, because Battle Royales have a ton of RNG, especially Apex. I absolutely hate that fucking game. I will say that every chance I get. I fucking hate that. I have a hatred like that for that game like you've never fucking seen. I cannot stand Apex. That is a dog shit game. It is a terrible fucking game. People try to tell me, oh, that did a good job at reducing RNG in Battle Royale. No, it didn't. Not even fucking close. It's probably the worst. Fucking hate that shit, man. And no, not because I'm bad at it, even when I'm winning. I fucking hate that game. But Warzone did a lot of things to help reduce RNG, and it also added a bunch of things that I wanted in a Battle Royale game prior to Warzone coming along, like being able to drop in with a weapon. In Warzone 2019, you dropped in with a pistol. I always wanted that, because in games like PUBG, I hated that, you know, you drop in, you don't have a weapon, and you could run into a room, and another player nearby runs into a room, and they get a gun, and your room didn't have a gun, or your house didn't have a gun, and theirs did. And they have this advantage because of RNG loot. Fucking Warzone helped reduce that problem because you spawned in with a pistol, so you had more of a fighting chance. I also liked how in Warzone you would just automatically pick up ammo. First off, you would automatically pick it up just by walking over it. Then you also had loadouts, and like I explained, you only needed to get, at launch, they increased the price as time went on, but at launch you only needed to collect a little bit of cash, and you could buy your loadout, and you really didn't have to worry about looting for weapons and armor or anything like that because you had your loadout. You had your weapons, you had your perks, you had your grenade, and Warzone didn't have tiered armor, so you didn't have to worry about players finding better armor. You know what I mean? Like in other Battle Royale games, they had level 1 armor, level 2, level 3, and you could get screwed because in their room, their house, they had level 3 armor, and yours only had level 1. So now they get this advantage because of RNG loot. But Warzone reduced that RNG because it was just 3 armor plates, at least at launch. That's all it was. Everybody just had 3 armor plates, so you basically all had the same tiered armor. And then in Warzone, you had the recon contracts. They were these contracts on the map. You could pick them up, complete the objective, and then you would be able to see where the next circle is going to be. So it reduces that RNG aspect of the circle moving. Like in other Battle Royales, when you don't know where the circle is moving, you could get screwed by that. The circle could move, put you in an unfavorable position, and maybe another team nearby is in the next zone, and now they have this advantage because they're in the zone, and you have to run out of your building into the zone, and you're just going to run into gunfire. But yeah, Warzone helped reduce that because of these recon contracts where you could see the next circle, and you could stack the shit. At least at launch you could. You could see multiple circles ahead. Like, not just where the next one is, but the next one after that, and after that, and after that. And it might have been possible to see where the end circle is if you did enough contracts. In Apex, there's survey beacons. You can see one circle ahead, but Warzone allowed you to see even further ahead. So Warzone did a great job at reducing RNG in Battle Royale games. It really did. Oh, and another thing that was great about Warzone was if you die, you were sent to the Gulag. And if you win your one-on-one in the Gulag, then you get to drop back into the map. It could be that simple. You could die, you get thrown into the Gulag, you win real quick, you're right back in the fight. And if you die again, your teammates can buy you back at the buy stations. So there were multiple ways to come back in Warzone, because that was another problem in other Battle Royales when you just died. And now you're just sitting there watching the rest of the game because there's no way to come back. But Warzone had different ways to get you back in the fight. So yeah, Warzone did a lot of things really good for Battle Royale. Now, Warzone 2.0 in Modern Warfare 2, they made a few changes from what I can tell. Again, a lot of it looks the same, but there are some changes, like vehicles can run out of gas now. There's a battery life on the heartbeat sensor, and you can fuel up the vehicles at gas stations. And I think that's cool. I think that's cool that you can go to gas stations to fuel up. They have med items in medicine cabinets. They have cash in cash registers. They have loot on shelves. And they talked about how they want items to be in places you'd expect it, like medicine in a medicine cabinet, gas at a gas station, cash in a cash register, things like that. And, I mean, that sounds cool to me. Like, you know, you need meds and you're near a house, you run in the house, you run to the medicine cabinet to get meds. I think that sounds cool. Maybe I won't like it when I play. I'll just have to wait and see. But I saw some people saying they didn't like all that because it was too realistic. And I hate when people say that, man. Like, just because something is realistic in a video game does not mean it's bad. Like, you know, a player dying from one sniper shot to the head, that's realistic. It would be unrealistic if it took 2 or more sniper shots to the head to kill a player. Most people, when it comes to that, most people would agree the realistic thing, the 1 sniper shot to the head equals a kill, is the better thing. So just because something is realistic doesn't mean it's bad. odds are, if you dislike something and you're saying it's because it's realistic, odds are you dislike it for another reason. But instead of coming up with an actual argument, you just say, oh, it's just realistic, as if that's a bad thing. No, just because something is realistic does not mean it's a bad thing. I hate that people think it is. Oh, realistic equals bad. No, not all the time. Sometimes realistic things in video games, yeah, aren't great. But again, I don't think it's because it's realistic. I think it's because of something else, how it affects the gameplay. Now, as I mentioned before, you can't buy your loadout from buy stations, but you can buy weapons, and I think you can buy attachments. And I did mention how I liked that you could buy loadouts in Warzone 2019 because it reduced the RNG aspect of not being able to find good loot. But you can buy weapons from the buy station, so you can still buy your weapons. You can still buy shit. You still don't have to solely rely on RNG loot. So I would think I will like this system better, especially because there's more of an incentive to keep collecting cash and going back to the buy station. Whereas from what I remember in Modern Warfare 2019 Warzone, at least at launch, once I got my loadout, we were pretty much good to go, and all we had to do was worry about positioning in the circle and buying kill streaks. Now, there are a bunch of changes to the Gulag this time around in the new Warzone. So this time around, it's going to be 2v2. Modern Warfare 2019 Warzone, it was 1v1 in the Gulag, but this time it's 2v2. And I don't know if I'm a huge fan of that, because if you get paired up with a player who's bad and they just run out and die, well, or if they're AFK, well, now you're playing a 1v2. I think I would like it better when it was just a 1v1 and it relied on your skill and your competence to win that. But if you get paired up with a bad teammate and he runs out and dies, you're just at a disadvantage. I don't think I'm going to like that at all. Also, you start with just your fist out and the loot is on the ground in the Gulag. So you pick up the loot and then you fight. And I'm assuming the loot is the same on each side of the map, or each side of the Gulag for each team. I would hope it is the same. But even then, I'm not a huge fan of that, because it's like, even if the loot is symmetrical, it's the same on each side. Well, maybe you don't know where the loot's going to be until you actually get into the Gulag. So maybe as soon as you spawn in, you run left, and the players on the other team, they run right. And they had better weapons on the ground on the right side, and on your side, you just had a pistol. I don't know. So there could be an RNG aspect to the ground loot in the Gulag. Again, in Modern Warfare 2019 Gulag, you and the other player, you spawned with the same weapon. It was a symmetrical Gulag. You guys each had the same weapon, and it was 1v1. I think I definitely prefer that over what I've seen so far, this new Gulag. Also, there's this new thing you could do. There's a jailer, and I'm not exactly sure all the details on this or where the jailer is positioned in the Gulag, but apparently you can kill them, grab the keys, and you can escape, essentially, the Gulag and redeploy that way. And also, you redeploy with the loot you picked up in the Gulag if you win. So, and again, I don't even know how I feel about that. Is that a good thing that you keep your gun? Because then you could just redeploy and you could possibly land on somebody and just gun them down real quick, because you're dropping in with possibly an assault rifle if you pick that up in the Gulag. I don't know. So I don't know how I feel about that, but just have to wait and see. But I definitely think I will have preferred the old Gulag from the old Warzone more than this new Gulag from what I've seen so far. Oh, and another thing that's going to be new to Warzone this time around is AI. There's going to be soldiers in certain towns, certain buildings, and you can kill the AI and they can shoot back at you. And I think they drop loot when you kill them. So, kind of a PvE aspect of Warzone, and I don't think I'm a fan of that at all. I mean, it makes noise, right? Them shooting at you or you shooting to kill them. It alerts other players, and I also don't want to get mixed up aiming at an AI when there's a real player nearby aiming at me. I don't know how I feel about that. I thought, you know, yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I thought from how they described it, I thought it was only going to be like these specific locations that there were AI in, but from the footage I saw of like all these streamers playing Warzone, it seemed like there was a lot of AI scattered out in different places. It didn't seem as rare as I thought it was going to be to come across AI. They seemed more common than I was imagining. So I don't think I'm a huge fan of that. Another big new change coming to Modern Warfare 2 Warzone is how the zone works. So basically, at some point, as the zone gets smaller and smaller, at some point the zone splits off into like 3 separate zones, 3 different circles on the map. And then those are the 3 safe zones. And then eventually those 3 zones will combine together back to 1. And I think I am going to like this because I do think this is going to help reduce third partying. Because think about it. I mean, if you have teams in these 3 different circles and, you know, the gas is separating them, they won't be able to run to another circle if they hear gunfire and, you know, third party the other team. Unless they have, obviously, unless they have something to get through the gas or whatever. But anyways, it makes it a lot harder. So yeah, having teams separated in 3 different zones, I definitely think that would help reduce third partying. And it's been a while since I've played Warzone, but third partying in Apex is extremely annoying. They also made the announcement that proximity voice chat is coming to Warzone. So you'll be able to talk to nearby players. That'll be really cool. That'll make for some really great moments. This new Modern Warfare 2 is also going to have a third-person mode. I'm really excited about that because I enjoyed that from the last game that had a third-person mode. Well, the last Call of Duty that had it, which was, I believe, Modern Warfare 2 from 2009. I haven't played some of the later Call of Duties. Maybe they had a mode. I don't think they did. I think the last time we saw that was in, again, the original MW2. So that'll be cool to check out. There's also this new invasion mode. I don't know a whole lot about that. But yeah, I think those are pretty much all my thoughts regarding Modern Warfare 2, what we saw so far during the Call of Duty Next reveal live stream. Again, guys, like I said at the beginning of this video, I am looking forward to this game out of desperation because I need a good multiplayer game to play. And it doesn't take a whole lot for me to enjoy a COD game. It just needs good gunplay and good maps. And like I said, I'm not a huge fan of what we saw with the maps so far. Maybe that'll change. Maybe Warzone will be dope. Maybe I'll love the DMZ. And I'm not sure if the DMZ actually, well, DMZ is probably not going to be there day one because it's going to be played on the Warzone map, and Warzone doesn't come until I think about 2 weeks after launch, so that's not that long of a wait. I've seen a lot of people shitting on this game even before we saw any footage. It's like they just want it to fail, and I don't really understand that attitude. I mean, I don't understand it as somebody that like doesn't have any current multiplayer games that interest them. Like, I'm desperate for a new multiplayer game, so I don't get why we want this game to fucking fail. Like, we need it to be good. But maybe other people, they have their own games that they're enjoying, and they're not as desperate as I am for a new good multiplayer game. So yeah, I'm hoping I enjoy this game. I really am, man. I really fucking am, dude. Like. But anyways, we're going to end it there. Those are my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think about this game so far. The beta starts today, early access for PlayStation. It might have already began before I got to upload this video. But yeah, what do you guys think about the game so far? Are you enjoying it? Do you like the way it looks? And were you a fan of Modern Warfare 2019? Let me know in the comments, and I will see you on the next one. Peace out, everybody.